Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors.
Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time.
All right, thank y'all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guests.
Hi, I'm Chris.
How's it going? I'm Paul.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Pierce, and we're
Silk Letdown.
Hello. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
How's it going?
Yeah. Let's go reverse order. Why don't you tell us each a little bit about like who you are and what you do in the band?
Well, hi, I'm Pierce, and we're Silk. No, we already said that. I play bass. I do some singing as well. We all help with some singing, and I do a lot of the production and kind of mixing and songwriting here and there. You know, for kind of how we've gotten started off.
Yeah, I dig that. I'm a bass player as well.
There we go. Yeah. A man of culture.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I'm Josh, drummer, stick man. Pretty new to the group, but the material is really awesome, and so far just having a really good time.
Oh yeah, I dig that.
Josh is also kind of a unicorn because he sings pretty good also.
I saw that everybody in the sings actually. That's really cool. Do you use a headset mic?
No, I have looked into getting one of those. It can be a little bit, high up in price if you're getting something that's a little bit more worthwhile.
Yeah,
but I'm hoping
get the glasses and goatee like Portnoy, or have the big swinging mic that our roadie. You could be our roadie and just throw it around.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah. All right, sorry, but getting back.
Sorry, I derailed the introductions there. I'm Paul. I'm the singer, and I play guitar, and I'm kind of the band manager, social media manager, which I hate, but I also love that it is a great tool out there.
Oh, yeah.
I guess.
No, trust me, I feel it.
It's necessary.
Yeah, necessary evil.
Yeah, I'm Chris. I play lead guitar and constantly fiddle with pedals and amps and all that kind of stuff. So working on a rig for the group, trying to get the right sound. So it's been a process, but it's been fun.
Hell yeah. Oh, y'all do a little extra layer of something in the band. That's really cool.
Kind of have to these days.
Yeah. Also, I didn't do this intentionally, but we brought both the guitar players on the same couch. So, whoops. All right. Now, this one's kind of just open to the room, but what got you each started into music initially?
Yeah. Guess I'll start. I got to give my parents credit for some pretty good music taste, all the good stuff. I mean, I remember like the Tool cassettes in my dad's work truck, Red Hot Chili Peppers were the first favorite band. And then we really got into Rush and all that stuff. But I started playing, like fifth grade band when you sign up for it. Mm-hmm. And I was the only bass player. I was the only boy who wanted to play an orchestra, and I wanted to play bass because it was big. And everyone else quit orchestra, long story short. So I got some great lessons, private lessons basically, with who ended up also being the high school band director. Oh. And where I'm from, Monterey, California, there's really big jazz scene. So this guy's a pretty big jazz name. And so basically that kind of fast-tracked me playing a lot of jazz starting in middle school. And I had four different music classes a week, and two at least every day.
Oh, dang.
In middle school. And so it was like very much that seemed like the path I was going to go. So that's how I got started. And it was just really much just jazz and, kind of combo, like, fusion, a lot of that stuff. And then a lot of rock, prog rock, Chili Peppers, kind of what shapes our sound, right? Like that early 2000s. I think we all have that radio station that was kind of like, sounds like what we kind of sound like now, where it's just like that since third grade was kind of my jam.
Oh, yeah. I dig that. Yeah. I dig that. Damn. Upright bass is a big instrument.
It's fun. I'd love to get a Traveler, or like I love playing fretless because like it still feels like home in a way. And I'd love to like there's a few. What was that? Bare Naked Ladies. The guy plays upright sometimes.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So I'm not writing off. Like one day it'd be cool to do some stuff with that.
Well, we're actually starting to GoFundMe right now.
Yeah. Those things are not cheap.
No, very much so. Hell yeah. Well, that's rad.
Yeah.
All right, and then what about you? We'll just go in order, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I started playing music, I would say, when I was in about 6th grade. It's kind of a family thing. My mom, she played guitar and was a big music fan back in the 70s when she was growing up. And, she was actually down in, the Redondo Beach area. So there were times where she was like singing Van Halen, playing like garages before they were signed. And,
okay.
so I was lucky enough to just, she'd have like containers of like old records and like those little small tapes or whatever. And you just have Nirvana and Van Halen and just be listening to all this like classic rock music all the time.
Yeah.
And my older brother, he took up playing guitar, and just seeing him create and write, just really definitely inspired me. So just seeing my family members, I started like playing guitar and just getting I remember in 6th grade like getting up in front of the whole school and playing like a little guitar solo, or I kind of set it down for a while. Then in 8th grade, started playing again. I guess it was my first big show. I'm up there and I'm just like trying to tune my guitar the whole time. And then they ended up just asking me to get off the stage.
Oh, no.
Love that.
So for anyone out there, if you're having a tough start or if you're scared, you just got to face it, man. And, like Dave Grohl said, you just go and you suck like a billion times until it finally starts to sound like something you like, or, other people would like. In high school, I connected with our guitar player Chris, and we just started playing music together, writing original material. Sometimes the songs would be like 10 minutes long, or
Ooh, okay.
we'd hang out in my mom's shop for like 3 weeks straight, like in the cold weather, like microwaving like old food. But it was honestly a blast too. It was just like where we kind of created a sort of love for our music. And that's also when I got like a cheap $200 drum set and just started kind of playing some of the more formative years of playing the drums. And then in high school, we just connected with some other, players who are just really good, and started doing some cover music. And from basically just learning from like the local musicians and the local cover groups and the guys in the Coos Bay, North Bend area, Coos Bay, North Bend, Oregon, that is. We just kind of like fell into that community, and we just played a lot of different shows and kind of just started learning the ropes that way. And just through that, just chasing music, and it's kind of just what I've been doing, at least, except for work on the side. So.
Oh, yeah, that old chestnut.
Yes, yeah.
I dig that. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you both for sharing that. All right. Now, what about you?
For me, same, just early love of music when I was, young. My mom helped me cultivate that. But then I was in the band also growing up in junior high and high school, played, trumpet and the baritone and the trombone. But then I went off to college and decided I wanted to try learning to play the guitar, so I wouldn't have to study. But I didn't have time to learn the right way, so I kind of taught myself via tab. And, we started a crappy, college garage band, and that was a good distraction from school. And then, just career and family and stuff. Tried to stay somewhat proficient at guitar over the years, but just kind of tried to hold on to that. Did a couple of Craigslist band things that never really kind of took off. But then, finally was able to get back into music and reassert myself and connect with some musicians locally. And so it was kind of nice to be able to, I'm glad I held on to that and, never gave up trying to just, do this thing. And now it's nice to kind of be a part of something that actually has some good momentum. real quick, shout out to Fox too. So first thing I started, I was like, I need to get better at playing guitar and performing. So I was like, I know I'm down for that. I just need a drummer that'll show up. And my buddy Jason Van Abrams was kind of in the same market. We met via Craigslist, and neither of us were murderers, so it worked out. And ended up doing a 9-track album, just the two of us. With the Howlett Halls and Justin Phelps. Shout out to Justin Phelps. So that was a good way for me to kind of like just get that momentum that I needed to kind of reassert myself and kind of start over, I guess, with music.
Gotcha. Hell yeah, I dig that. And so far, at Handful, you have some orchestra experience. It seems like a really cool way to go about it.
Yeah.
All right, and then to round it all up.
Yeah, well, I guess to kind of touch on the orchestra experience, I guess it was more like wind ensemble, typical band. I guess I got started in like 5th grade. But I mean, prior to that, I didn't really consider myself to be much of a music person. Like, I remember in middle school, people would ask like, oh, what songs are you into or what bands? And I'm like, I don't really do music. But I never really thought about how much of what my mom was listening to when I was young really influenced my style. She'd listen to a lot of like 60s and 70s rock. And it kind of just stuck with me. At the time, I really didn't like it. I was like, it's all so repetitive and whatever. But later on, when I started playing guitar, I was like, actually, I really like this stuff. And I find that I come back to a lot of that inspiration. But I actually got started on the trumpet and took it really seriously. Like, I played through middle school and high school, did, all the typical band nerd things, did a symphonic band, jazz band, pep, marching, and then whatever else I could do around town. Joined a big band, joined a soul/funk group.
Damn,
and
I didn't know you could do so many things with a trumpet.
Yeah, there's a lot of work. Got burnt out on it pretty quickly. About by the time I got to my senior year in college, but I was going to do like classical trumpet for college, but kind of glad I didn't. It was super helpful to have taken that path, but I started leaning into the whole rock scene, started learning guitar. It just seemed like fun. And of course, as Josh mentioned, we were friends for a long time. We actually met in like 2nd grade or something. So
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I actually have a photo of us in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Like, sitting at
I remember.
the same table.
Which we're going to put on the screen right now.
Yeah.
Small community, though.
Hell yeah. Now, I'm sure you all kind of said this in your answers, but where are you? I know you said Monterey. Where are you all like each from initially?
I'm from Odessa, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was, born in Flagstaff, Arizona, but I was raised and spent most of my earlier years North Bend, Oregon.
Gotcha. Okay. And then
North Bend for me too. Yeah.
Okay. And then when did you move up here, or when did you move out of Monterey?
So yeah, I born and raised there, went to high school and whatnot. Then I went down to a D3 school and down the street from Disneyland, Chapman University in Orange County. And I did some music classes there and stuff, and kind of I was DJing. I was just playing a sport. I was doing RTC, a lot of stuff. So that was kind of like my personal dark age of music, where it's like I had my ghetto studio set up, and like, my freshman dorms, I still had my monitors and my laptop, and like people were like, oh, he's making beats. And,
propped up on books.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, they're the same height, I promise.
Quite literally. But that definitely took wayward, kind of took the back burner. And once I graduated college, I was home for a little bit. And then I moved to Minnesota for 5 years for career stuff. And once I'd graduated college, kind of in between phase, and really like the end of senior year of college, I actually got my first, my Carvin bass, like kind of like my dream. I remember like 6th grade getting that Carvin custom catalog.
Yep.
And like... Yeah, if you know, you know. And so I got that bass 2015, 2016, I really got back into it. And by the time I moved to Minnesota 2017, honestly, that's where a lot of the songs you can hear that we've kind of released right now, it's kind of like getting the deeper crevices of my soul out, like Big Blue, Hearts of Gold, a song, recently was showing Paul that I've kind of finished the demo on now that I'm here. Those were all written in 2015.
Oh, dang. Okay.
And so, I was in Minnesota for 5 years, and then remote work kind of took me. I want to try something new, and California's expensive. Always was curious about Pacific Northwest, and been here for celebrated my 3-year anniversary a couple days ago.
Oh, congratulations.
So I'm here, and I don't feel stuck here. I like it here, and yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's that. Yeah.
All right. Well, now, Before we get into more of what y'all do in the present day, I do have a couple foundation questions I like to check in with everybody on. This first one is one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you each bought with your own money?
You know, it's really kind of off the wall.
Was
I
it
swear,
The Wall?
a little bit off. Oh, no, not that specific album. I swear, I don't know if I can name the exact album, but it was a Ludacris rap album.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
And I don't know, my family, we moved down to South Lake Tahoe for a while, you know, and definitely a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah.
And, so I don't know, and you know, I guess me and my brother, we were listening to more rap and Eminem at that time. So, yeah, just like some, you know, one of the Ludacris albums, you know.
Hell yeah. I mean, any of them are quality albums.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was good.
Yeah. I mean, I remember listening to it all the time and just being like, dude, should I be listening to this? And like, it was like fourth grade. Like, whatever.
For me, it wasn't one album. It was 16 for a penny. I don't know if you remember the old Columbia house.
Yep.
I was like,
a thing?
I'm pretty young, but I think this is a pretty good deal. There's no way mom will get mad at me for that. It's a penny for a 16 CD.
Wow.
Which I want to write a song about that. Like, we all have these outstanding debts with Columbia and BMG, and now they're here to collect, you know, on the interest of those 1 penny loans, if you will. So yeah, it was at the time. It was, you know, Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and all the alternative grunge bands that were what I grew up with. So to be in this project playing all that kind of stuff again is pretty awesome.
Hell yeah, I dig that. That's rad.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm still thinking it over.
Okay.
I don't know which one came first or whether I bought one of them with my own money, but Getting Away with Murder by Papa Roach.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, because Josh and I actually know some people in that group and recorded that 10-minute song in the studio where they tracked their first album, I think. And
Yeah.
that was interesting.
You know, just a brief, you know, sidetrack. Tobin Esperance, he's the bass player. His father lives in North Bend.
Oh, interesting.
And we all, his youngest brother, Sean Esperance, we were all in the same class. So we like played music together and we got to just, you know, experience that a little bit.
Yeah, so
Hey,
they
that's
helped
cool.
us out a lot for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was either that album or whatever the one from Breaking Benjamin was that had Blow Me Away, because I played a lot of Halo, so I'm like, that song's in Halo too. I got to buy this album. So, yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean, still a quality album. Hell yeah.
Really is.
All right. And what about you?
Yeah, so first CDs. So I know, yeah, I guess technically for my birthday, I know the first CD I ever possessed myself, but I think my parents got for me was Lost Lonely Boys' first album, which is,
Good one.
I mean, I think everyone knows their song Heaven. They are incredible. That first album is like, you know, they were also one of the first concerts I ever saw live.
Oh, damn, and that was the next
seventh
question,
grade.
so.
Yeah, well, there's a better answer for that because there's like a // It was a back-to-back concerts.
okay.
But shout out Lost Lonely Boys, incredible album. But that summer, I bought What Hits, which was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, like first greatest hits before like Under the Bridge is on it. I think, no, Give It Away is on. It was when like Under the Bridge was like kind of a promo single for Blood Sugar Sex Magic, but it has all of their old really funky stuff, which I also think is kind of, you could hear that in our sound, at least what I've written and how I play bass and drums and guitar, like that Hillel Slovak. I think he's a really undersung guitarist for how he really, you know, inspired other generations way past his death, obviously for Shantae as well.
Yeah.
But if we're being literal, the first album I bought, I had won an Amazon gift card also that year for building a trebuchet in 7th grade history class. And this was like Amazon where you could only buy CDs and books.
Yeah.
And I was torn between Heart's greatest hits and Rush's greatest hits.
Oh, no.
And I asked my dad, and then I remember I was watching VH1. VH1 had like the 100 greatest rock bands countdown, if you guys ever saw that thing. And Heart was like pretty, I think they were like somewhere 30 to 50, and I think Rush was like 31. And I was just so torn, and I ended up going with Rush. And like, obviously Heart's a phenomenal band, but I mean, Rush is like, you know, my religion too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, as a bass player, I think it's a crime.
Yeah, as anyone, right? You know, so as like, you know, as cheesy as it is or cliche, that was definitely like a paramount decision, two crossroads.
Yeah.
Is I going to be a Heart devotee? And like I said, Heart is obviously killer, but I would argue that Rush just has, their catalog is just the substance and depth. Yeah. It was the right choice, and I think was the most influential thing that shaped me musically.
Well, even in the beginning of those early purchasings of music, you feel like those first couple of CDs you buy are like everything.
Yeah, really.
You're like, this is 100 to 50% of my entire music catalog.
Yeah, you burn those things out, basically.
Yeah. Eventually, you're like, oh, well, now I own too many, and then MP3s came out, and that was a whole other world. But we won't get into that now. Yeah. Although I'm going to share a little personal story since you brought them up. My dad had the tower of CDs. You guys remember held like 100 of them or whatever. Mm-hmm. And when I was like first getting into like cooler music, he had a pretty decent lineup. Yeah. But one of the first albums that I found that I like wore out I just was like, this is mine now. I don't know what to tell you, bud. Was Rush's Roll the Bones album.
Oh, that's phenomenal. So slept on.
And I know. Yeah. And almost nobody has heard of it. Yeah. But cover to cover, great album. Big fan.
I love that. I'm currently in my Presto Roll the Bones era. Okay. Like that's like I've been, when I go to sleep, I listen to, there's only 3 bands I listen to, period. Mm-hmm. Rush, Dream Theater, or there's this Brazilian metal band, Angra, who like no one knows about. They're huge. They're giant in Brazil. Yeah. Giant everywhere else. I saw them in Minneapolis. They're like a world. Like they filled arenas in Brazil. They played for 50 people in Minneapolis. It was, and they played. It was the best show ever. They played like they were playing to 10,000 people. So sidetrack there. They're amazing, but Presto and Roll the Bones are just like, it's such a forgotten about like Rush era.
Yeah.
And Roll the Bones is so like quirky and kind of whimsical and like, I don't want to say silly, but it's so lighthearted and like fun and peppy. And like Presto is just like my going to sleep album, because I feel it's kind of like their softest, almost like most, I don't want to say poppy because it sounds wrong saying Rush pop, but
there was a window of time where I think they were trying to fill some contractual obligations.
Yeah.
They definitely were like, you know what, this will be fine.
Yeah, I think you hear a Hold to Fire, Presto, Roll the Bones, and then you finally get into like the kind of harder rock and counterparts and stuff. But like that 4 album is like, those 4 albums are like the poppiest, I think. But everyone needs to listen to Roll the Bones because no one really.
I mean, I'm right there with you, but I feel like we'll run on forever.
Oh my God, absolutely! This is an hour Rush podcast. We're taking over.
If you want to be on the show. All right, now, like I said before, the next question is, what was one of the first live shows you each went to that was like specifically one you wanted to go to? So like you saw it was happening, got tickets, you went to it.
Rush.
Oh, perfect. Hold on a second. I just said no. Okay. When was that?
It was in 2011. It was their Time Machine tour. They played down in Ridgefield.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Josh and I went together.
That one was really cool.
Yeah, like with the band from the coast. That was like our big road trip. Like, we got to go see Rush.
The pilgrimage.
Yeah. That's wild. Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, was that one of the first ones you went to too?
That was one of the first ones, I guess if Chris wasn't going to touch on it, I'd probably have to, But actually, a year previous, like in 2009, I went to Eugene and I saw Bob Dylan play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it kind of speaks a little bit to my taste at the time. And, just a lot of respect for him and just his music and basically what he did. Same with Rush too. I mean, just both. Bob Dylan, Rush, in their own respect, shaped and changed music in their own ways, like maybe more than a lot of other groups have. And
very much so.
And for me, it's like I like to see groups, like I saw Maroon 5 a few years ago, and it's like, they make a lot of cool songs and all that. But it's also cool to just see a group where like they've just have changed music like significantly.
Well, they've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
So long.
All of them, yeah.
I remember I got to see Iron Maiden. The first like real concert I ever went to was Ozfest, I think 2004.
Nice.
And they were one of the headlining bands. And just watching them, I was like, what the how are they like this? How can you use this much stage?
Yeah.
Like it was incredible. So yeah,
awesome.
there's those point in times where you see these bands that are just like larger than life.
Yeah.
Because they have been around and influenced so many lives for so long.
Right.
Yeah. Iron Maiden has the 747 to prove it. You know?
Yeah.
They are there. They're really
much
like,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, they take private jets to a whole nother realm.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see, in '98, my friends and I went to see Creed,
Okay.
Our Lady Peace, and Oleander, and
Whoa.
that was right when they were like,
Yeah.
on their way up. That was a good show.
You know, I Creed gets a lot of hate, and I can't say I'm like right up there. I'm not. I don't hate him. I don't love him.
Yeah.
But the early Creed really did kind of have its place.
This was before the hate.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
And Tremonti's he's an incredible guitarist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there actually is a lot of talent in the group. I think just the internet really got a hold of them, and that just kind of happened.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Well, I have this photograph.
Yeah.
All right. And then did we talk about
No.
your group? Okay. I was didn't say it, but I know you had mentioned it. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had a crazy, I hadn't been to any shows my entire life, really, besides like your county fair, whatever stuff. But this 7th grade summer, I got to play in the Monterey Jazz Festival as like a next generation fest. So like going there to like Wynton Marsalis is like it was like it's always an incredible jazz concert. So there's that.
I'm from the Bay Area. I'm very
cool.
very
got
aware.
it.
Yes.
Oh man. So there's that. Then there's this Lost and Lonely Boys show, which was it was just awesome. Still like we'll always remember as a phenomenal show. But then in a very short time span went to Ozfest 07.
Oh, okay.
And like and it was like my friend's mom just dropped us 4 like 7th graders all like
shout out, Mom.
hopped up on Monster and like, our first times in like the real pits, like Behemoth and Amon Amarth and like, it was, so that was incredible. That was kind of like, I had nothing wrong. I didn't really get exposed to too much metal. I I know you can't call Tool a metal band, but like I liked heavy stuff. But I finally met those friends who were like, "Cool, I'm burning you that CD with like Cannibal Corpse and stuff." And I was like, "Okay, this is something else."
And you're like, "Why is it squealing at
exactly. And I was like, the Dragon Force, I could do that so far. Dragon Force was really like the introduction to the heavier stuff. It's like fast and crazy, not screaming, and then you eventually get warmed up to the growls and the gutturals. So that was cool. But then just shortly after that, I saw Rush on Snakes and Arrows tour, and that was just like, I was like, music is just a wonderful thing. We had such a jazz to blues rock, Mexicana rock, like then Ozfest and everything. Like even that was like a really diverse show from like Static X to, Behemoth and stuff like that. And then Rush. So it was a good summer.
Yeah, hell yeah. Damn, that's wild. That might be one of the coolest shows I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing all that. Now let's go ahead and let's get on into more y'all in the present day. We are going to get a super easy one out of the way, though. How'd you pick the name?
I think Paul's probably the best. We were having a really, I think every band has a pretty hard time. I mean, my like ad nauseum, all I said to Paul was like, man, I want a name that means something but isn't trying too hard and isn't cringy. And we shot back and forth a billion names. And then he said this one and I was like, dude, I really think that might be it. So I'll let him tell like the meaning and I guess how I interpreted it too after. But
okay.
First off, it was easier naming my firstborn kid than going back and forth with Pierce to get this one, but totally worth it. Silk Letdown just kind of refers back to a term we use my previous life. I was a fighter pilot, and when you had to eject, it was kind of called like one of the euphemisms for that was you're using the silk letdown. So a letdown is like a procedure, an instrument procedure to get you down through the weather and into the terminal area. But if you're doing that in the silk, which parachutes used to be made out of silk, then you're in your parachute doing the descent. It's probably things have gone bad.
Yeah.
But they could be worse. At least you had an ejection seat.
True.
So that was kind of.
Wait, you guys weren't just pulling those for fun?
Yeah. That was kind of a cool, aviation term that has a couple of meanings that also is a really cool band name.
That was actually a really interesting layer. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and I think, my man crush with Paul started with, like, I'm a huge aviation nerd, and, like, his former life is kind of like a dream of mine as a kid, and still, like, I love aviation. So from all of that stuff gripped me, and already I was like, there's got to be some aviation term, like, like G-Lock, or like, whatever, like, his band Fox, his other band Fox too, it's a call, so I was like, there could be something there. And he said that, and like on top of what he explained, I kind of like, it's almost like a little play on words, double entendre. You have all that awesome meaning. I think just like however you want to interpret it, like a silk letdown, a soft letdown, like, and there's a lot of letdowns in life, and some are hard, some are soft and smooth, some are, so I think there's a lot there, and I think you hear it, and when I tell friends and whatnot, they ask, and it's like, you say that name, and like, I think it provokes like some curiosity.
Very much so. And that's actually, that was something I was going to say, because I usually try to like, I try to mull it over a little bit. I know I'm going to ask this question. And I was trying to rack my brain on all the things that it could mean. Because it first of all, I do this bit where I break down names, and it's very easy to remember. It's not hard to spell, looks good as a font, or in most fonts, like just all the words, the letters. It's all really like, it permeates well. But like you said, it's very thought-provoking. You're like, Silk Letdown. These are like, these feel like buzzwords almost. Like these feel like they just like threw to, like they did a song generator and came up. So to find out there is a way deeper meaning than just like two words that sound cool. That's actually really interesting.
And at the same time, it doesn't sound too pretentious. And that was something I was like worried about. And like, I think we're like, you could take the music seriously, but you don't have to take the act or performance or life too seriously, which I think is kind of the thing too. You could be like lighthearted, and I think that name is also, you could be like Thunderwolf or something that's just like way too edgy, So it was a good
cool name. Hold on a second, we're gonna have to write that one down.
It's a good happy medium.
As an idea generator, I use some of the chat GPT as like, generate me some band names. I'm like, Pierce, check these out.
You're like, I came up with these.
Some of them were.
How bad are these? Awesome.
Damn, now I want to know, like, if you did it now, what it would be, because like the whole chat GPT 4.0 and whatnot's gotten crazier.
Even I
might have to do that as a thing later. That's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a fun one. Yeah. Like, let's see how much the computer can come up. But getting back into it, thank you guys so much for sharing that. That is really cool. Now I want to talk about your writing process a little bit. And now obviously I know two of you have been together for a minute. Two of you just recently joined on, so it may be a little lopsided, but this is the next question in the line. But how do y'all go about getting a track started?
I think, I didn't go into too much detail ad nauseum about like my roots and influences or whatnot, but like I feel like I really take like Zappa and like Steely Dan are some of my biggest influences too, and I play guitar, drums, and do all like the producing on myself. I do like a lot of electronic music and other stuff, so it's nice in this day and age to be able to be like, oh, I don't need to rent a studio. I can be a bad employee at work or on lunch and be like, let's write a song right now. So for me, it's really nice that it can be such a spontaneous thing. And it usually starts with like, I feel like I'm very fortunate to I can't really relate to writer's block, I guess. There's just so many freaking ideas and so many little motifs, like most people have on their laptop. So it just needs to start somewhere. Sometimes it's a chord progression. Sometimes it's a bass line. Sometimes it's a drum groove. Sometimes it's a vocal melody. Sometimes it's the lyrics themselves. But I don't really try to like constrain myself with what starts a song. But once I have whatever element I'm going, like I'll just record whatever, kind of, I kind of build a scaffolding of, I think everyone probably tracks better playing two drums than vice versa. So like drums usually come first after some real janky guitar or bass stuff, and then I'll record bass over that, then I'll record the guitar over that, and by that time, Paul's had gotten some ideas, or it's already been flushed out, and then so by the time we're recording vocals, the instrumental is usually done at that point. So I feel like pretty standard. I think it's just it's really nice to be able to just have like a solid home studio, and it's fun being able to like feel proud that it's like, you know, we're not constrained by a label or a producer or some engineer. We can do what we want, and I think that's been really nice to get a decent amount of stuff recorded pretty, you know, with some agility.
Yeah, very much
and efficiency. Yeah,
very much so. Now we're gonna talk about more of the music you guys have out in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I want to swing over to Paul for a second here, kind of your input once it gets to you.
I guess. So when we kind of started this, you know, I had previous band tracks that we wanted to kind of keep going. And he's like, dude, I've got all this music that's already, you know, 98% done. It just needs some vocals. And so a lot of it, some of the first tracks were just like, you know, Pierce had, you know, the lyrics and the melodies and a lot of times some kind of scratch vocals. So that was really easy for me it was easy in a lot of ways to be like, oh, I just have to sing this. But it's also a challenge for me just because I kind of have my, you know, wheelhouse of where I was used to singing and how I write and stuff. So it's actually a really good challenge and learning process for me, you know, taking Pierce's very, you know, laser focused direction and trying to really give life to all the good work that you can tell that he's done in the production process. So, you know, kind of getting through those, I kind of, you know, got to see his approach and see kind of a little bit of how his music brain works and vice versa. And so now that we have a little bit of some collaborative stuff coming out, then yeah, I'd be like, hey, I just banged out this idea in 2 hours. What do you think? And it's like, you know, 90% produced. I'm like, dude, this sounds really good.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So like, you know, we'll kind of come up with, you know, he's like, co-write the melodies or lyrics and stuff. It's been a very collaborative process, and we go back and forth. But I think what's good about it is we both kind of defer to, you know, the writer, like, hey, I think this is a good idea, but if, you know, obviously if you want this to sound a certain way, we'll each break our backs to try and make it sound as best as we can. Because, you know, we all have kind of that song in our head that we want it to sound like, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we're both very maintain a lot of integrity and trying to make that serve the music and serve the song and make it the best that we can make it. And you know, when we go back and forth, there's sometimes like, dude, this song is kind of writing itself, or it's leapfrogging this other song that we were working on, and which is kind of cool, like he talked about, that we can, you know, do all that stuff. You know, we can let the music work for us and work for the music, as opposed to like having to get things out on a deadline, or hey, we got, you know, 2 hours in the studio, we got to get this one done, even though it's not done yet. So it's been really good to kind of. It's kind of a big music amoeba, but it's always producing stuff, which is nice.
Gotcha. And it's been so, you know, I'm trying to think of everything that's actually out right now, but a lot of it's like I said, stuff I written, you know, and I've played this stuff with some other bands, but haven't, you know, I've told Paul, it's like, I really appreciate that he's able to, you know, not that they're the greatest songs in the world or whatever, but like he's been able to do them justice and like help because I can't sing nearly as good as he can. And a lot of these songs, they've, like he said, they've had other singers, or they've been, you know, definitely between good demo and actual finished songs. And I was just like, I just need a singer who could actually sing the stuff I've written. Yeah. And so like he's been able to bring my songs to life, which I'm very grateful for. And so as we've been working on, you know, like I think kind of understated almost, embarrassingly enough, I have so many songs that are like ready to have been wanting to be finished for years. I just need that band behind me that I really, you know, believe in and trust. So it's been working through all of those, and then we've been also sprinkling in some of his songs from Fox 2. He recorded as a 2-piece, and so now those are sounding a lot more fresh, updated, and just like they're coming out really nice. And frankly, they've just been really easy to record because he's been singing them for years. Yeah. And so it's like he'll send me like, you know, some of them I've used the first vocal takes, and like he can tell you I will ask for 1,000 vocal takes if I need to, but some of them they just sound so good right off the bat. And so one of them, you know, Face Down, like Chris obviously can blow us away on guitar, so we're having him record the solo. So it's like now it's all kind of
coming together,
moving smoothly. Yeah. So,
and actually that segues well. I do want to bring you guys in on this a little bit, because, you know, you're fairly new to the band. How did you all get into this project, and what has it been like, kind of like integrating yourselves in?
You know, Chris and I, we hadn't played music for, what was it, like 4 or 5 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and we were just hanging out in my garage for like 2 years, like on and off, like just, let's do this, or let's start, another cover group, or actually it's just going to be us two with, some digital backing. And, and we were just going at it for a long time, just trying to figure out what we wanted to do, just to kind of get back into music together. I mean, Chris, he plays around Portland a lot with, several groups. So, but, for me, I've got kids, and it can just be hard to just have something that, I want to do, and is also just really satisfying. And so, I was just on social media, and, I put myself out there and was just kind of looking for some players, and, very lucky to have had Pierce, hit me up and respond on Facebook. And, something I also liked, he was like, well, send me some videos and maybe audition you. And, he was, everyone else was like, oh, come and jam and play. And, he was just professional and was like, I'm not just going to, have anyone join my group or play my music because I care about it. And I was like, well, cool. Because that's kind of that's like the level of professionalism that I'm kind of seeking too. So I just sent them some clips, and they're like, oh dude, you should come and play with us. And so I ended up meeting up with Pierce and Paul, the kind of the band area and where we play. And they sent me some tracks, and I just remember listening to their music and just thinking, wow, this stuff's really good, and it's like something I want to play. And for me, it's just with my family life and stuff, it can be hard to like get away and do that. But with the music they've put together and just how serious they take it, like it just makes it worth it, whatever it takes for me to be able to show up and play and put in the time and the work. I just went and auditioned, and I think that our first time playing was just pretty groovy. I know for me, I really liked it. Like, Pierce just has those like bass chops that kind of like funky.
Make you want to play drums.
Make me want to play drums.
And vice versa. It's like, it's, it was instant, like just able to lock in, which is nice.
Very much so.
Yeah, it seems like that's pretty rare.
So
I was gonna say, and then how did you get brought into the fray?
Well, I have to thank Josh for that, because he put in a good word for me, and honestly, this is like the type of project that he and I have been looking for a long time. Like, he mentioned that we started by writing original music together, and I think a lot of what these guys have written aligns with what we had in mind back in the day. And so it's just got that energy and that punch and that power behind it that's we've always been kind of chasing and trying to achieve. I'm like, all right, these guys are professional and reliable and really good at what they do. So I basically did the same thing, showed up for an audition, learned some of the tracks. I think we started with the three kind of most prominent ones at the time, and it went pretty well. So just kind of took it from there, and just been working at it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's funny you thank Josh, because we would also thank Josh for, Lincoln. It was like we were, looking for two new guys, and we were like, it's a pain. I'm sure, you've been there. It's just finding diamonds in the rough, and you have to sift through all the noise. And it's like, okay, we got a solid drummer. And he's like, oh, we could get a 2-for-1 deal with another solid player. Like,
that's already locked in with the drums.
This just went from like the last thing we want to deal with, because I mean, functionally, not like I've been waving the white flag, but you just can't like force to meet the right people. So I'm like, well, Paul, like, I can play all instruments and you have your voice, so we could just be one of those bedroom bands until and like, maybe shows have to stop for a little bit, but like, let's focus on what we can control. We can't control who we meet.
Did it.
Exactly. And they're awesome. Oh, I love Chromeo. But like, it just like worked out really quickly and easily. So all of a sudden it's like a breath of fresh air, a new lease of like going into 2025, not with just, oh, we have a lot of music we're excited about, but it's like now
the
like,
gang's all here.
And it's like, I will shout out my window in Portland to anyone who's like, you should see us, because we're good. We have the confidence that, we're putting out something authentic and fresh and cool. And it's really nice to be able to like actually say that and believe it.
Hell yeah.
So, and can back it up.
And that was the challenge, is like you can hear all the time and effort that Pierce puts into some of those tracks that it's all him, and it's really good musicianship and musicality. And so to like, when people show up and they want to hear that, it's like you got to bring your A game if you want to, if you want that recorded product to sound good live. That's not easy. So it's nice to have good musicianship, and we want all that to come alive on stage. Because hearing something on a track is great, sounds good, but to really bring that to like the stage, like for me, like that's the pinnacle. Like making great music is cool and awesome. Like that's its own reward. But whenever you can actually play that music live and make it sound bring that energy to it and make it come alive, and then have people connect with that, to me, that's like the actual like icing on top of the pinnacle, if you will.
Yeah, very much so.
That's what I
very
really,
much so.
That's what gets me going.
Yeah. And actually, sorry.
I was just going to add, I think, Chris, you could probably relate to a little bit. Personally, I feel like I have a little bit of like multiple personality disorder as a musician, where like I don't have the jazz chops I was developing, but I still think I approach it from that kind of jazz musician mindset, where it's just, I try to drag Paul to a lot of shows, like, we saw Sungazer. I went to see them last week, but I dragged Paul to the Headhunters when they were like with guys with like two of the original lineup. Yeah. Guys, and like, shows like that, it's just like, we can name a billion rock bands we love, but like in my sincerest opinions, like we barely touch like your average jazz, like student kind of stuff. And so just to have been exposed to that world and just see how like consummate professionals and truly artistic these people are, it's like, I think I want to push like this. We're not playing the most technical music ever, so like let's make sure it's perfect. And like I really want to mention this because what Paul said, it's just like, we got to do the music justice we're releasing. We're not speeding songs up, we're not doing and it's not even that crazy technical, so we should at least be able to play the stuff and make it look easy on stage, because that's when it's fun. No one's having fun if you're stressing on stage. Yeah. But when you're confident in the stuff you're playing and you've put the work in, then the live show loosens up. You're just, everything's flowing better. So like that's what was the struggle, finding the right people to be like, we just need to be with other people who can comfortably play the stuff, so we just have fun and enjoy the process, not stress over it.
Hell yeah. No, I dig that. And actually, that segues well. Let's go ahead and we're going to talk about some of your guys' music. So I jumped on a ye old Spotify and I checked out everything there. So, it's all from this year as far as release stuff goes. But as you all have said, it is really good. It's really good. Like it's got a really strong presence. It's like clearly inspired by sounds. Like Rush was one of the ones I was going to list like pretty full on, just because I could hear some of it in it. But like it's just it's all really refreshing. The bass is solid. The drums, like the direction of the drums are huge. The guitars are screaming. The vocals are powerful, and it just there's such a cool variety just in what's available there. It's like, you do have some funkier stuff. You do have stuff that's a bit heavier, and everything technique-wise is just super dialed. Like it's really, there's a message in the music outside of just the lyrics. Like there's really a lot that kind of happens very intentionally, I felt like. Very like well thought out, very well put together. And one of the tracks I actually really enjoyed was Big Blue. Like that one really got me. I had to listen to that one a handful of times because it's a really fun track. And I come from a realm of more like funk based playing myself, so a lot of this music I could really attach to. Yeah. But your most recent track, Heart of Gold. Or Hearts of Gold?
Hearts of Gold, yeah.
It might just Spawn decided to get
Well, Neil Young, like there's Neil Young song.
Yeah. It was the first track I listened to just because it was like right at the start anyways. But there was just something really cool about it. It's got such a cool layer of like interesting movements, heavier sounds, and it's a little bit heavier than what like was there for the rest of it.
Absolutely.
But it didn't feel heavy, you know what I mean? Like it did. There was this energy in it. There was this like just this life in the track that in a way, like it kind of reminds me of like more like melodic metal. Like I don't know.
Exactly.
Like I don't know if you're familiar with Hammerfall at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my head, it had what like Hearts on Fire has.
Oh my god,
without,
that's so funny you mentioned that
without
song.
being that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't too preachy.
Well, kind of Iron Maiden-esque.
Yeah.
Because like there's no blast beats, there's no double bass. It's just like really, really, really hard rock in a way where it's like, and same, I always think of like Alice in Chains and even some Incubus stuff or Soundgarden too. It's like, to me, because I listen to a lot of like extreme metal too, I don't want to call that metal, but at the same time, I love like the debate to have. Like, I think Alice in Chains has some of the just heaviest stuff that's ever been recorded, and it doesn't need the technicality or the double bass or like anything in metal. So like it's I really appreciate everything you're saying, because it's exactly how it's kind of approaching it with doing that song. It's like, because I think it'd be too far to left field to like just become a metal band for one song. But I think Paul and I have talked about this a lot. It's like, and I think I just referenced Incubus. They're a really good band. You always know it's Incubus, but they have stuff that's like new metal. They have drive. They have poppy stuff. Some of their albums are like really poppy, but you always know it's Incubus because of, you know, how the individuals play the music. And so like, I think we're trying to like record all the stuff we've done and have previously written, and kind of see what sticks, where it's like, what direction do we take it? Is it going to be more Big Blue, funky, kind of Chili Peppers, Stone Temple Pilots, that area of the world? Does it, you know, Hearts of Gold is pretty angsty, and there's another song, Space Between, which Paul's finishing up vocals on. That is way more of like, take Hearts of Gold, but now put that into like 2010s, like metalcore light, like kind of like a Bring Me the Horizon a little bit.
Okay.
And it's kind of like, it feels good to get that song done and not like move on from it, but like release it. And it's still under our band, but like we're not going to record an album probably that's like metalcore or anything like that. But it's cool to be able to have that diversity, I think. Yeah. And it's fun to play, just like to, you know, Josh has been like getting way more into double bass and stuff and whatnot. It's just like, you know, however we can push each other with different tricks and songs and styles and stuff, I think keeps it fun.
Well, that, and once you have a wide variety of songs, you have the option to like reinterject those sounds into parts of any song you do before or after, and depending on like what shows you play, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, if the band before you was a little more one way than the other, you can open up with something a little bit different, and vice versa. Exactly. Or if you know what's going into next, then you could be like, all right, let's kind of gear the set this direction. So it's like, you know, it's not to say that. And I mean, some of them, like some, especially like when you go heavy tracks, you can always loosen them up a little bit.
Exactly.
If the setting calls for it. So it's not like just because it's got, you know, blast beats in it at some point, you don't have to play them, and the song can still kind of open up in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I think Hearts of Gold definitely is a good example of that. You know, to me, I think like the verses are very Police-esque. I wrote that when I was kind of like first really getting into the Police and stuff. And so, I think you could kind of, it's malleable a little bit. Yeah. And when you have people who like are competent, not, you know, there's a difference between a guitarist and then like a musician like Chris who plays guitar. It's like, you know, when you have that knowledge and everything, it's easier to bend and shape things. Yeah,
it definitely stands out. And all of your music sounds congruent. I think that's like, even though you do have a variety of sounds within each song, I didn't listen to it at any point and go, oh, this one stands like out super out for reasons. Let me say something. So it all works together, and I'm sure over time. I mean, honestly, the only gripe I have about your guys' music is there's not more of it.
We got a lot of.
I'm so curious what an album will sound like. Like that's something I really, and I'll dig it out a little more in a minute. But this next question, I want to kind of get back to the room for a second. Out of all the songs you have available, the ones that people can check out, what is each of your favorite songs to play?
I got to go with Big Blue. I don't know. That one's just a lot of fun on guitar. Like those parts are just sweet. So it was a fun song to pick up. Like coming from a cover background, it's like that's kind of just what I do. I just learn songs all the time. And like this one is refreshing and a lot of fun to play on the guitar.
Hell yeah. No, I could definitely agree with that one.
I'll go with Looking Down, just because for me it's got some good guitar parts that, you know, Chris and I both, you know, kind of go back and forth with, and it's a song that I wrote probably 8 years ago or so, and or maybe further. I don't know. It was a while ago, but it's kind of getting that song out, and it's fun to play live, and it's good to have that one out
Oh,
of
yeah.
me.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like Looking Down too. But man, Hearts of Gold, especially just being the drummer too. If you've heard it,
that definitely feels like the drummer's song for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I've been waiting. We were hitting a couple practices when we can, and we finally came to that song, and it's just super fun to play. The drum parts are just, for me, just so well written, and it's just amazing. I can see where, with Pierce and the way that he approaches like his production with music, it's like, less is more. We hear like certain metal bands and they're hitting those double basses like the whole time, and there's a time and place for that. There's people that want to go and like bash their heads around, and that is fun and awesome too. But it almost like features like the parts a little more when you have those certain moments where you just kind of hit a little double bass, or you have like a metal fill here or there, and it's just, to me, it's just really tasty, and the way that he features those parts is just really fun. So I haven't been able to speak enough about just the catalog of music that Pierce and Paul have brought to the table is just, amazing. And Looking Down, close, second too, knowing that, Paul's written that one, the 6/8 feel, and then just everything that goes on later in the end.
The woes, man.
Yeah.
The woes.
Yeah.
It's just powerful, so, but for me, Hearts of Gold for sure.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think for me also Big Blue. That song's special to me. I was flying back from New Zealand over the ocean, and
Suddenly, it's clear.
yeah, and but curveball. So I saw that and I was like, Big Blue. But I wrote I wrote all of the lyrics and all of the guitar. Everything I wrote was solely in my head and my own hieroglyphic phone notes. I wrote all the music in my notes in less than an hour, the entire song.
Oh, damn.
And the first thing I did when I got back after this trip for catching up on jet lag, I was like, okay, I think these were all the chords I heard. I think this was how I would play it all. And I just got my guitar, I got my bass. I'm like, okay, I was actually pretty right.
Whoa.
And I basically just solidified the song there. Almost all the lyrics and everything was some songs are, I'm not trying to brag that song came together, but I think everyone has had those songs kind of as a, hopefully to inspire some optimism or whatnot. Some songs I just never want to listen to again because I've exported them 1,000 times and can't get the mix right or the parts right. Big Blue came together so easily and it just felt so right. And what it's about is, so Monterey, Big Sur, if you're from the Bay,
Yep.
Big Blue is about Big Sur and, a really special place to me. And Red Hot Chili Peppers being such a, big influence on me, it just felt so right. So my dream is, to film a music video behind the Bixby Bridge or with that in the background, film a, kind of paying homage to Big Sur. But that song, it's, I think you hear it and you think of Red Hot Chili Peppers, of course, with the vocals, the guitar tones, the drums, kind of everything. But, that verse riff was actually really inspired by Alice in Chains' first album. They have some stuff that I'm not going to call it funky, but they have Jerry plays a couple less chuggy riffs and a little more funky riffs, I thought.
Yeah.
And so I think it's kind of that I want that song to have its fun, funky, and also funky heavy section, but that chorus to really just be soaring. And I think with the vocals, the background vocals, and there's a decent amount of kind of synths and kind of pads in the background, I think it's just giving that kind of that air of driving on that coastal road and kind of just being wow, I'm in one of the most beautiful places on earth. So that song, I have my own solo stuff are also in the runs of running for my personal favorites, but I think at the end of the day, Big Blue is probably my favorite song I've written.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it's one of the tracks I pointed out by name, so I could definitely agree with it.
Yeah.
Being really cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right, now before we move into the next portion, this next question is going to be individual answers. It's for each of you, and it's probably the densest question I've got in the interview.
Cool.
But, we've talked about your experience in music, the actions, the reactions. But when it's just you and music, one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
I mean, for me, I don't know, it's almost different every time. But it always kind of comes back to like this sense of purpose, but also a sense of peace. Like you get into that flow state when you're writing or even just learning songs or playing songs, preparing for a gig, whatever it might be. It's just like this more elevated sense of connection with something greater than the regular mundane life. And I feel like that just gives me as a human being more purpose. And it's just a greater appreciation for sound, but also the connection between sound and thought and emotion. And I don't know, it's like a very philosophical experience for me, I guess. So of course I'm not thinking about this in the moment each time, but I kind of just, in some cases it forces me to like surrender a little bit, because in some ways I try to have a lot of control over things in my life and really feel like I'm on top of everything. But sometimes if I'm in the studio working on an idea, I find that I'm the most productive and the most prolific when I just kind of let the ideas do what they're going to do. And of course that is influenced by the music that I listen to or the experiences I have throughout life. But when I just kind of let things flow and really follow a sound, that's kind of a really freeing experience for me. And I think that's what I tend to do is I just listen to the sound of something. And as Pierce mentioned earlier, like I can go in so many different directions with music. Like I mentioned the symphonic background, the jazz background, and I did like orchestral music for video games for a little while and kind of took that approach, some synthwave, some house music, some trance. But all of that just comes back to following the sound, whether it's like a synth patch or just like a certain type of articulation on the guitar, a certain chord, maybe even more so than a certain chord, maybe the relationship between multiple chords, like how it sounds to transition from a certain interval to another one. It may be in a certain context in combination with the sound of the instrument you're playing or a certain effect, whatever it is, just like letting it happen and just seeing what comes of it. And I think that's just a really organic and like a weird spiritual kind of experience.
Hell yeah.
So
damn, that was a really cool answer.
Hey, all right.
I'm gonna pass.
I don't even have a follow-up for that one. I'm sorry. I should say class.
I don't know what to do with my hands. I like the music.
You really like
the
music? Or you
sound.
just,
I like noise.
Yeah.
It's loud.
Obviously very similar. I guess for me it's when you need to focus sometimes, music is great for, kind of getting you to really focus in on something that you're trying to like, either decompose or compose sometimes, right? But I feel like sometimes for me it serves me the most whenever I just need to kind of like, I'm going to go make some guitar sounds and play stuff that just kind of inspires me or, just play for myself, things that I like to play. And to me that's a nice kind of refuge. And whenever you're just like, dude, I'm just going to go not worry about social media or, the long list of things I owe to Pierce for recording stuff. I'm just going to go make some guitar sounds and make everyone in the house angry. So that's kind of good sometimes as well.
Hell yeah. No, I dig that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I've played a lot of shows and I've had a lot of experience, just playing in, different settings. And I think it's just so like rewarding what it does for other people. That's where I can find like a real sense, kind of like what Chris was saying, of purpose. And, sometimes I just struggle with like sort of my own thoughts or maybe some depression or just struggles that everyone goes through, and just, being at a show and being able to rock and see everyone like up front and they're just letting everything go, whatever problems they have. It just makes me, I don't know, it makes me feel something special. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just happy to be a part of something that can affect and change, you know, other people's lives. And I think has been the most rewarding, and, you know, it kind of serves, you know, me as a person, music thing that has come from it is just affecting things. You know, if you've written a song and someone's heard it and it moves them emotionally, or, you know, meeting people like friends that, you know, I've played music with, and they're like, oh, I want to play music too. And then years later, they're like, you know, really good on guitar or whatever. And just feeling like you're a part of something, and you're part of its organic and natural process of like how it affects other people and how it like becomes a part of their lives. And, you know, it could be, you know, our show New Year's Eve at the Firkin, like, who knows, like, what random two people who've never met each other are going to show up and, you know, are going to be best friends or, you know, soulmates for the rest of their life because they met at our show and there was something intriguing about our music or something. Or, you know, someone who was thinking, you know, maybe I don't want to do life anymore, and they come in and they hear like Looking Down, you know, and they realize like, wow, you know, like other people are going through things and I can relate to this. And just feeling like you're a part of that change or affecting, you know, people, and, you know, helping them or giving them some kind of experience, you know, even if it lets, you know, something else out, you know, either they're angry or brings something out, at least it's affecting them and it's moving them. And being a part of that process, you know, it's going to be great. You know, I haven't played live in, you know, a while.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
I feel you on that one. Thank you for sharing that. That's all really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of them. I think philosophically, like I think my answer is most similar to Chris's, just from like you know, I think as much as music is so like pertinent in our world, and Taylor Swift and Spotify and all of that stuff, it's like we still as humans don't. I think a lot of people don't. The average, the lay person doesn't really think about how, you know, mystical or like wondrous music really is. How, like, you know, from a physical, you know, scientific perspective, how we perceive music with our brains, how we perceive sound turn into music, all that stuff's crazy. And then, you know, yeah, it's just like what it can do for us. You know, I push my body in a lot of ways through sports and other stuff, and it's like, man, if I didn't have those songs to get me through that run, I mean, you know, it's just kind of, I feel like I live my life like I want it to read like a good book or like be a good movie, and what is going to be the montage music for my movie. And, you know, I think, you know, music is just more and more rewarding the more and more you give it, the deeper you go into it. And whether it's just traveling and I have, this memory with this song, and, you know, or that, you know, I remember like Show Me How to Live by Audioslave. Even though I love that song, it takes me back to such a visceral moment of running in 120 degrees and my tongue was cracked, dripping blood. And I was like, this is such a weirdly real human moment. I feel like I have a lot of examples like that, where it's like, you know, I have my running through the airport song that takes me back to here. Like, then I have my other running through the airport song that calms me down. It's like, I have like all these memories and can use it as a tool. And it's like, it's just like universally useful in so many ways. And like, and, you know, we all have our things. Like, I'm not the best cook, or I'm not great at cooking. I don't have as much of an appreciation as other people do, you know, so everyone has their thing. But I wish, you know, I wish people actually appreciated the artistry of music and true musicianship, and not just kind of, you know, we don't need to get into the commoditization of music that Spotify kind of is, you know, but
I've mentioned it many times.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, like, I'm not going to die on that many hills, but that's one of my things. Even though all our music's on Spotify, there's not really another option, or a good option, unfortunately. But like, I think that's where it comes back to jazz for me. It's like some of the music is so like transcendental. And like, you know, sometimes jazz is hard to get. And, you know, I think of like stuff by Coltrane or even like Herbie or like Miles Davis. It's like, it's challenging to listen to. And it's like, it puts my brain on some kind of like island and whatnot. And it's just it's a challenging but peaceful kind of transcendental place, and like it's like I don't need drugs, I don't need whatever other stimulants, natural or not. Like music gives me that like really weird high and like just alive feeling. And so I owe it to everything. I think especially important to me is like Rush. I think they were kind of like my non-human role model, and like they say don't meet your idols, but like I, like many Rush fans, like it's easy to be a true fanatic about them. And like I said, I go to bed listening to them every night. They make the bad times better, they make the good times great. So I think my answer is really reliant even on just my own relationship with like a band like Rush, and knowing them front to back. And I obviously could talk about them ad nauseum forever. And like, I think that just goes to show how much music can mean to someone and whatnot. And if you don't like music like that, then that's fine. But the more you dive into it, the more rewarding it is. And I think that's been my return on investment. It's provided everything that playing a sport or, my career can't, gives my soul life.
Hell yeah. I love that. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing that. Those were all really good answers. Those might be some of my favorite answers of the year. So thank you. I really appreciate that. All right. Now, we are going a little long in the tooth on this, but I want to get through the hypothetical questions.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of lightning round these ones, but they're all fun and they're all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one is pretty straightforward. If the band could share a bill with any one current act, the only requirement is they have to be out there. They have to be active at the moment. Who would you each pick?
I'm gonna need a second.
I would go with Papa Roach.
Hell yeah!
Just because I think they're really inspiring. We have some sort of distant-ish connection, to them, but I just hear their music and it's meaningful. It's hard rock, and there's just something, at least with definitely a good amount of our catalog, that I can relate, and I feel like it would just be a pretty awesome show.
Yeah. Well, surprise, they're actually here. Behind door number 1. Oh yeah, no, that would be a really cool show. I would go to that. Yeah.
Go ahead.
For me, it's kind of, it differs from year to year, but this year I've just been super into Coheed. I know Pierce is going to laugh, but I just really love like the way they put on a great show. I love the continuity between their albums. And
I actually found out about them live. Like that was how I found out that band existed.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was at the Download Festival.
Oh, nice.
My guitar players were like, "Hey, we got to go check out this band." I was like, "This is a funny name. Let's do it." When I saw them live, I was like, what is this?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of theirs. Similar, just the musicality they put in. There's a lot of continuity and everything, but there's so much, they just go all over the place, but it's all them and it's all great, from the guitars, the vocals, bass, and drums. It's just great freaking rock music.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think like a little pragmatically, I would love to be like Dream Theater, because that would just be cool.
Hypothetical.
Yeah. But
let me guess, Rush?
Do we? Yeah. Well, exactly. Can't pick Rush for obvious reasons, and Dream Theater is just like something like, well, a little too different, and whatever, but. And I could list other bands, but like kind of get X'd for reasons like that. I think a good actualistic show, I would say like, probably Red Hot Chili Peppers or Incubus, because I think from the opportunistic standpoint, it still plays some pretty big shows.
Yeah.
And also like this, so being on that bill, but obviously like-minded, and I think the intentionality and the purpose of their music, I just think that would gel really well together, and it would just be a heck of a lot of fun. Like how, like, no one could deny those shows are, both bands, a lot of energy. I want to even say something like 311, or I saw Stone Temple Pilots not too long, and they're still absolutely phenomenal. So those are all kind of bands that are like in our world that like, you said hypothetical, but like hypothetical, but could,
you're supposed to pick bands that you think would work. You should be like, we're gonna get this like weird like
Shaka
Latin
Khan,
pop band.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Although Shaka Khan,
that would be cool.
But as soon as you said it, I was like,
I would happily collab. Yeah. So I think those would kind of make sense, but they're also cool and lofty, and would be like,
maybe we can open for Taylor Swift.
Yeah, that's
that'd be a good opportunity.
There we go. The only right answer.
All right, then to wrap it up.
Oh man, maybe Shinedown.
Oh, okay.
Like, I feel like we could hype each other up pretty well. Like,
Yeah.
the way those guys execute on stage is just super professional.
Yeah.
And, like, they just get into this whole, like, persona. And I feel like that's really inspiring, but really easy to feed off of. So, like, I don't know. It would just be, like, a super reciprocal experience.
Very much.
And just
Yeah.
two powerhouse bands.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a really cool answer. All right, and then subsequently, who's a local act you all are each aware of that you would like to share the stage with?
We've already shared the stage with, Fox 2 included. We're playing with Titans of Industry.
Oh, hell yeah. Shout out Titans of Industry.
They're a great band.
Their live performance episode just came out today.
Yeah, we're
Well, in the realm of today when this is happening,
Yes.
not when it comes out.
yeah, we're playing New Year's Eve with them at the Firkins.
Oh,
You
cool.
want to be at that one for
Yes.
sure. They're musically, they put a lot of musicality into their stuff too, and it's just great live, great recorded, and great dudes. So for me, they're one of the top Portland bands out there.
Oh, yeah. Big. I mean, they've got 3 whole episodes now on the show. So definitely can stand behind that.
Yep.
I feel like Strawberry Girls.
Okay,
Good group,
yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Just like nice technical stuff that's pretty rocking, but not too over the top, and just cool dudes. Like, I got to meet a few of them through some like side projects over the last couple of years, and I feel like that would just be fun.
That would be a good show.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Go for it.
Maybe shout out to Positivity Club. And, I know Chris, he actually is a guitar player in that group as well.
Oh, gotcha. I think I sent you guys a message.
Did you? Okay, I'll check.
Don't quote me on that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you haven't, you should.
I'm pretty sure I did, but keeping that out of this, let's get back to you.
Yeah, I just want to be able to show my support, and just from the name and the vibes it seems that they're sending out, it seems like it's just a different approach to music.
Yeah, hell yeah. That would definitely be a cool show. And you'd already be there.
Yeah. Makes life easy for me.
Yeah.
I am blanking. I was like going to try to look on my phone real quick. I can't remember this guy's name. It's not Johnny Franco. Yeah, okay, it's Johnny Franco. How'd you know I was going to say that? Because I think I probably said the same thing. I was like, I saw this guy. I saw him at the Starday Tavern, and like I went there a while ago, like just on like a random date, and this girl knew this band, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm pretty particular with what live bands I want to see, honestly, in general. And so I was like, okay, whatever. It's going to be like a folky, Americana, whatever, however you want to genreify him. But going there, I'm like, man, this guy and his brother and just like their band, like they were just like such a fun time, and just like, it's like perfect balance of like, kind of what I was saying earlier. They take the non-seriousness seriously. Like, it was just so fun and so zany, and like the banter was so good, and it was just like everyone was just like so freaking happy and having such an authentically good time, and like the band in general just like brought that energy. So it's just like, as far as like shows I've seen where like the energy and just like vibe was 10 out of 10, it was cool to like stumble upon that, and even just like a local scene, because like guy definitely has the talent and the savviness, and almost like a little je ne sais quoi of like, he has a really cool formula, and it just seems so natural to him to like entertain and just put on a really cool show. And like, that's not music I'm gonna listen to every day, but how well it was executed and how fun it was, it's like, oh, I'd always be entertained and want to see a show by them, and it'd be cool to play with them, and yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, everybody, you know what to do. At them all in the comments. Let's see if we can make that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Titans of Industry already playing with, but at them anyways.
Yeah, why not?
All right, and then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could each add one abstract instrument into the band. So, taking the obvious ones out of the way, and we're going to take saxophone off the table, because too many people said it. I don't really think it's abstract. But if you could each add one weird instrument in, what would you each add?
I would say keys. You can't. I mean, I don't know if that's absent.
That's not absent.
Yeah, that's
Come
definitely
on.
that is the next thing in line that you guys should be doing.
Okay.
Get weird with it.
You could. We saw Fishbone the other night, and dude had a theremin out there.
See,
The theremin.
Yeah, so that.
Some chaotic theremins always good.
I got to go with the hand pans.
Okay.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
There's no bad situation.
No.
with hand pans. Yeah.
No.
You can't make them sound bad either. They sound so cool.
Violin.
Okay.
Ooh,
You know?
Dixie Dregs action. Yeah.
A little Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Yeah. Paul, are you going with the
Oh, is that
theremin?
fiddle?
Yeah.
Same thing.
I'm trying to, I really like,
I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
there's some of the more like worldly instruments. Like I took a really awesome class in college, like a world music class, and so going through all like the different, like I saw King Crimson recently too, and their music is very like gamelan inspired, some of that era, and so like the clanky gamelan kind of stuff and just the rhythmic that's really cool. I really like butchering the pronunciation, but like the erhu, I think I think it's actually Taiwanese, not Chinese, but it's kind of it's a kind of bowed instrument, and it just has a very interesting timbre.
Yeah.
You would know if you heard it, but then you have like the butchering every name, the shakahad, the Japanese flute that just has the way people bend those notes, or even like throw a pan flute in there, Peruvian, pan flute, like, and just a flute would be really sweet, Jethro Tull-esque.
Yeah.
I mean, there's too many, but then like Zappa, like why not just have a freaking xylophone player? Like that just added so much fun to like so much quirkiness to that sound. So a billion answers.
You can't ask Pierce that.
I was gonna say, I realize now. I'm glad. Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
those are all good answers. So those might be more abstract answers.
Oh, I have my. I'm sorry. I have my final answer. I need to learn how to play a Chapman stick.
Okay.
And that I think is weird enough. Like I want to bring that in.
Yeah.
After seeing Tony Levin live for the first time, King Crimson, those they have such a cool sound too. So like that's I think weird enough, but also kind of maybe realistic in some.
Oh yeah, I dig that.
world.
Dude, I was gonna say the wash tub bass.
Yeah, that too. Why
Real
not?
classic.
Or the Jack White shovel guitar thing, whatever. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Now, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. What can we look forward to, like musically, between let's say the first half of next year? What's 2025 going to bring us?
A lot of recording. We have, like Paul kind of said, we have songs that we've worked on and have almost finished, and then it's just like it's okay to let that simmer for a little bit because we have like momentum with somewhere else. So like we have, 5, 6, 7 songs that are like already getting close to the finish line. We have songs that like are just they have the final finishing touches for Chris with some guitar work. It's like I think somehow maybe it's the releases themselves, but also like you kind of alluded to, how do we organize and turn those into a product? How do we market those as an album or an EP?
Yeah.
Because I very much believe in like the power of like, what they symbolically, not like symbolically, but as what they represent as a collective.
Yeah.
Like you put these songs together. It's a little a little greater than the whole. And like you add the cool album art, you add the liners, like I want to do all that stuff. So it's like, I think you could take some of our songs, take Hearts of Gold, maybe we're not going to have a full album of Hearts of Gold, but we have like that kind of darker side EP of those 4 or 5 songs. And that's kind of exists in its own world. We have, Big Blue, 8 Ball, some other stuff we're releasing is kind of in that similar funky, grungy alt rock world. So it's like, it's fun to kind of toy around with how we can organize that. And I think that's what's going to be the start of 2025. A lot more stuff coming out because we've really hit like an efficient stride in writing, releasing, producing, and Paul's doing really good with like getting it out there. So hopefully just a lot more stuff we're throwing at you. Everything. It's the machine has been finely tuned.
Damn. Well, definitely looking forward to all of that.
World tour.
I was going to say.
Euro tour.
Headlining with Dragon Force.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure you guys have got some shows coming up. You already kind of mentioned one. What can we look forward to as far as that goes?
Yeah, we've got the 2 New Year's Eve at the Firkin with Titans of Industry and Weekend Lover. So a good diverse lineup, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That starts around 9, and it's free. Then January 4th, we've got White Eagle Saloon booked with Teeth for Eyes and Baby Graves.
Whoa,
it's also going to be
okay.
another
Hell
fun
yeah.
show.
Damn, Teeth for Eyes is a good
Yeah,
name.
that's a good one. And then going into the rest of the year, we're currently working with some bookers and getting some shows lined up. So maybe do the Eugene Corvallis circuit up to Seattle and Tacoma. There's some good venues up there too.
Yeah.
But we're gigging about once to twice a month, and we just want to kind of get, now that we've kind of got the lineup solidified, just get a really good live show going as we start building on our upcoming album completion, and just kind of keep the momentum going.
Yeah, step to that next tier, hopefully, and get that EPK just dialed, so we could reach out to bigger bands coming to the area and be like, here's our sales pitch. How can we offer them something where they wouldn't want to say no?
Yeah,
to us opening for them and climbing that ladder.
I dig that. Yeah. I may have one for you guys off camera as well, so remind me after this. For this next one, go and look straight at your cameras. Tell everybody how they can find you.
We're at www.silkletdown.com. That's our website. It's got all of our links. It's got our set list on there. You can go listen to all the tunes that we have currently. There's even some that we haven't released yet that we're still working on. So you might find an Easter egg on there or two. Also, we're on all the Spotify's and the YouTube Musics, all the streaming platforms out there as well as Instagram and Facebook. So that's probably all the places I would know to look for us.
Everything is Silk Letdown. We're easy to find, and we're working on the MySpace page. We're again, the developers are getting back to us, but you can find us everywhere. Instagram is pretty active. The website is looking good, and stuff's going to be coming on Spotify and all other streaming sites a lot. So keep your eyes peeled. Silk Letdown.
Hell yeah! And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else y'all want to put on while you're on here?
Shout out parents for great taste of music and showing me all this good stuff, and shout out to you guys for being mighty fine individuals, and shout out to you for having us on the show. This has been really fun.
This is awesome to have someone local that cares about local music and giving us visibility. Thank you.
Yeah, your questions have been awesome, and it's been really cool. So
thank you. Well, with that being said, I've got one last question to go, but before we do, I'm gonna steal the camera for just a second.
Okay.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your guys' interpretation. But in all of music, what is an album you each feel is more on the obscure side? It's a bit of a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know. But it's one you think everybody should know.
Oh, man. What is it called? Dreams Are Not Enough, I think, by Telephone Tel Aviv. Just absolute soundscape Ethereum. It's crazy.
Hell yeah.
Totally worth a listen. Headphones required.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, that album name sounds familiar, but when you said the group, it didn't. So I'm excited to check that one out for sure.
Yeah, do it.
I'm going to come back to you on that one. I'm thinking.
I got something if you need a sec. I was just looking at what music I have. There's two things come to mind. I think the band King's X is one of the most absolutely criminally underrated bands of all time, and for what they did to pioneer grunge and just the, we've thrown around the word intentionality and just like the soul and intentionality and insane heart, soul, musicianship, everything they put into the music, and just like ethereal kind of aspect. So their album Dogman, which was produced by Brendan O'Brien, so it's got the good stuff, Pearl Jam, Chili Peppers, all of that. It's like, I think 1993 or 1994, the sub bass on the bass tone is the nastiest bass tone you'll ever hear. It's just engineered so good, and like the album will rumble your subs, and you don't hear that from like early rock. Half the stuff, there's like nothing under 100 hertz, so it's incredible just from that, and has just some of the truly gnarliest, grisliest riffs of I think all rock ever. And they're just a band that I think in musician circles a lot of people know, and they're kind of like one of that bands where it's like, how were they not bigger. They deserve it, and they still play, and they're just super incredible. That or Falling Into Infinity by Dream Theater. A lot of people, it's their least favorite Dream Theater album. I don't get it. I think it's a fantastic album. It's a more accessible album, still with their insane musicality, and just has some songs that just really have been taking me to a interesting, fun, cool place in my mind. I've been listening to the album for like 2 years, so that would be like the first Dream Theater album I'd show a non-prog or like non-Dream Theater fan. Yes. So
Hell yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go. Then I gotta go. Sorry, I gotta step out. But I would go with actually the first album by Dead Poets Society. I've talked about them a lot. They're a good new, I think, contemporary, relevant, like hard band that is different. They're heavy and they got great lyrics and vocals and guitars, and they're just awesome. You should check them out.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, now let's just hear his answer real quick, and then we're gonna close it up right now.
yeah. I want you to have your show.
Okay. You know, I feel like everyone has heard all of Linkin Park's albums, but I feel like Hybrid Theory has always overshadowed Meteora. So I want to give a shout out to Linkin Park's Meteora album.
Hell yeah.
Because I think that was like, I don't know. I can't not listen to the entire album. The way that it goes piece to piece from song to song, and just over the years everyone's like Hybrid Theory, and Hybrid Theory is a great album, and you have some of their big songs on there, but as far as like an album being one just large piece that kind of tells a story, at least in modern rock, and I know it's still a popular album, but just because I felt like it's a little underrated or a little overshadowed, I'd want to give a shout out to Meteora.
That's a good answer.
The
production on that album, yeah.
But with that being said, we got to get out of here, so we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
I'm Josh.
I'm Pierce.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.